Every ending is the door you forgot exists. We spend so much of our lives clinging to the known that we forget the unknown is not a void, not a drop into nothingness, but a passage into the very place from which all beginnings arise. Imagine standing at the threshold of a familiar room you have lived in all your life, believing that this room is the universe entire. Then, one evening, without warning, the lights go out and someone gently pushes you toward the back wall. And suddenly, your hand touches what feels like a frame, a knob, a doorway. Something you never noticed because you never had reason to seek it. Most people fear endings because endings imply loss. The end of a relationship, the end of a belief, the end of a season of youth, the end of a comforting identity. We pretend that if we resist long enough, if we tighten the grip just a little harder, we can stop the flow. Yet life is always fluid. It changes shape whether you participate or resist. The strange thing is that resistance does not protect. It intensifies the very discomfort you are trying to escape. When you look back at the pivotal moments of your life, you will notice something curious. Each ending that once felt like calamity quietly rearranged itself into the beginning of something that could never have happened while the old remained intact. You cannot fill a cup that is already full, and you cannot discover what you already insist on knowing. The mind that fears endings imagines a cliff. The heart that understands endings sees a threshold. Consider the way a tree grows. Each autumn, the leaves dry, turn amber and fall. If you stop the process at the moment of falling, the scene looks tragic. The branches bare, the ground cluttered with leaves that once held sunlight. Yet winter arrives, and those same branches hibernate. Something unseen begins. Roots deepen, sap gathers. And then spring comes. Blossoms appear. The tree becomes what it could never have become if those leaves had refused to let go. We human beings forget that we are not separate from the very cycles that govern forests, tides, weather, and cosmic motion. We believe we can remain constant, untouched by impermanence, immune to endings. Yet life does not consult our preferences. Life reveals itself by dissolving what is complete, so that something unimagined may arrive. You do not control the rhythm, you participate in it. What terrifies us is not the ending itself, but the space between what has finished and what has not yet appeared. That interval feels like emptiness, and emptiness frightens the ego. Because the ego survives by attachment, it survives by narrating reality in familiar language. When its vocabulary dissolves, so does its sense of being necessary. But what is truly lost? An identity that was never permanent. A plan that was never guaranteed. A certainty that never had actual substance. So what dissolves is illusion, and what remains is a deeper presence that was always there, yet overlooked. Imagine holding snow in your hands. It melts. You cannot preserve its shape. You cannot command it to remain a perfect crystal. If you squeeze harder, it melts faster. The same is true of relationships, ambitions, roles you have grown into. We think the holding is the loving, but love is not the grip. Love is the recognition that nothing belongs to us, yet everything passes through us. Endings are not punishments. They are invitations. When a chapter closes, when a title slips away, when you discover you can no longer be who you once were, that is life saying, enter here, pay attention. Something unspoken approaches, yet many choose to sit on the threshold and mourn. They stare backward because backward is familiar. The doorway remains behind their shoulder, and life waits. Not impatiently, but patiently, because life knows you cannot stare at ashes forever. Eventually you turn, and when you turn, the door you forgot exists reveals itself as the very passage you came here to enter. So when something ends, do not confuse closure with confinement. Nothing that ends has abandoned you. It has simply completed its purpose. You may remember a time when something ended and you stood bewildered, certain that the ground was collapsing beneath you. But notice what followed. Notice how the ground was not falling away at all. Rather, the old foundation was dissolving so a new one could form. The collapse was not destruction, but clearing. This is the nature of experience. When the known dissolves, reality makes room. When the familiar disappears, awareness expands. And when what you relied upon evaporates, you begin to sense something far more reliable. Something that was never built and therefore can never break. Every ending strips away the illusion that life must fit within your expectations. It is like taking a seashell from a child's ear. The child hears the ocean in the shell and believes that sound lives inside it. But when the shell is removed, the ocean is still there. You simply begin hearing it from the world instead of from the object. We often mistake forms for the essence they carry. A person leaves and we think love has departed. A season changes and we think joy has vanished. A role dissolves and we think meaning has died. But what leaves is merely the container. What remains is the vastness that was always behind it. Endings force us to discover the source without clinging to the vessel. They are teachers disguised as disappearances. Think of the space between breaths. You inhale, and that is birth. You exhale, and that is death. Yet in the pause between the two lies the equilibrium of existence. The pause does not frighten you, because you have learned to trust that the next breath will come. But in life, we forget this same rhythm applies. Something ends, we panic, and we forget that a beginning is already forming, quietly, in the unseen. You cannot see roots growing beneath the soil, yet they grow. You cannot see the moment a seed decides to sprout, yet it sprouts. You cannot see the moon pulling the tides forward, yet each wave arrives exactly when it must. In the same way, your life unfolds. So consider what ending stands before you now. Perhaps a relationship has dissolved. Perhaps a belief once held with certainty has cracked. Perhaps who you once imagined yourself to be no longer holds any truth. That is not failure. That is ripening. You are not here to preserve form. You are here to evolve through form. The ego imagines permanence as safety. Yet permanence is stagnation, and stagnation is a subtle form of decay. Flow is the nature of existence. Movement is the architecture of every living process. Nothing living stands still. Imagine walking down a path in a dense forest. You come to where the trail ends. A wall of branches obscures what lies beyond. You could turn back, but something urges you forward. You push through the foliage, and on the other side, the path continues, wider, open, filled with light. That was the door, not marked, not labelled, not ornamental, just hidden by your reluctance to move beyond what you already knew. Endings are seldom polite. They arrive unannounced and often without our consent. Yet within that intrusion lies liberation. Life frees you from attachments you would never release willingly. Not because you are being punished, but because you are being invited. Invited into the larger version of yourself. When something ends, it is not asking for your grief. It is asking for your attention, for your trust, for your willingness to stand for a moment in the unknown, without demanding that it hurry up and reveal its secrets. In that stillness, life reorganizes itself. You begin to see that you were never secure because something endured. You were secure because something kept unfolding. That unfolding is love. Not sentimental love, but the love that breathes stars into being, that orchestrates tides, that dissolves winter into spring. Every ending reminds you that you cannot step into a new room while clinging to the doorway of the old. You must let go, not as a gesture of sacrifice, but as an acknowledgement that what has served you has completed its work. Then you walk, and the door opens, not because you found it, but because it was always there, waiting for you to notice. This is the quiet benevolence of impermanence. It closes what is complete and opens what is possible. To resist this is to live as a guest in yesterday. To welcome it is to inhabit the present, where life is always new. So when something ends, bow to it, thank it, step through. The door you forgot exists is the door through which your life continues.